Welcome to season 2 of the More Cheers Podcast. We are back. It's going to be lots of fun. We're going to have conversations on topics that you might be avoiding. Some of them you're having at the braai already. So I am your new co-host, Marsha Kumire, the corporate brand director for South African breweries. But I'm not the only one that's going to be joining me in the seat. I have a fun favorite. You might know him as the funny guy. He's a comedian. He was on The Masked Singer. Also Strictly Come Dancing. I didn't know that he could dance, but he's here and he's well-renowned. I'm sure you know him. Mr. Jason Goliath. Welcome to the More Cheers Podcast.
I could not be more excited. Thank you for having me. And thank you for mentioning Strictly Come Dancing and The Masked Singer. It's good people must know that I can dance and sing the same day.
Yes.
I can do all of those things.
And now you're podcasting.
And not only podcasting, but I'm podcasting with somebody who, my mother prayed that I would have a title like yours. Because even when you said your title, you were trying to be humble. You were trying to be humble about it. But those are the type of, I stayed in school, I did my own homework, and I've never missed a debit order in my life. I love it for you. Well done. And I'm very excited to be able to do this with you.
So yeah, let's start there. You know, I'm excited that you said yes.
Yes.
Right?
No, look,
but yeah.
A dream. So I go, the great Marsha, brand genius from SAB, easily the world's best brewery. I'm going to look into that camera and say, easily the world's best brewery. Says, Jason Goliath, do you want to come and do a podcast with us? I go, what's this podcast about? They go, beer. I go, excuse me? I thought I was still sleeping. I thought, is this a dream? How do I get to do a podcast with good people and talk about one of my favorite things on earth? And here we are.
So you said favorite things.
I think that I have an unnatural relationship, but not so much with beer specifically, but with the brands.
Okay.
So I have a very unnatural relationship with Castle Lager.
Okay, well, tell me a bit more. What's happening with
I'm going to say it without trying to be emotional now. So for me, Castle Lager is where it all began. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize this, but because it was sort of around the same time, and many people thought that I was a comedian that then became the face of Castle Lager way back. So the year is 2010.
Okay.
My life has fallen to pieces. I owned an insurance brokerage that went under in spectacular fashion. Everything went wrong. The saddest I'd ever been. And somebody says to me, yeah, you should try some auditions. You know what I mean? You should try going for auditions. I thought maybe after business I could do some acting or presenting. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends starts an agency, sends me to an audition for a Castle Lager ad. When I get the brief, it's the biggest ad I've ever seen. It's like, I'm talking, they were shooting in South Africa, they were shooting in London, they were shooting in Ireland. It was this
World Cup time. 2010 was 100%. World Cup time.
And it's this crazy commercial. And I get the commercial to be the face of the Castle Lager guy. What people don't know is not only was I at the lowest point in my life, but at the wardrobe call for the Castle Lager series of ads, and we did a number for a couple of years. But what people don't know is I met Siv Ngesi, who's now one of my best friends, at the wardrobe call, because Siv and I were in the ad together. And after 5 days of shooting, Siv Ngesi pulls me aside and says, "Brah, you're so funny. Why don't you try stand-up comedy?" And I go, dude, it's because I'm braai funny. Like, I'm funny with the Owens. I'm not on stage funny. And he gave me the best advice any friend has ever given me. He just looked me dead in the eye and was like, "Brah, I'm not saying you're going to be Trevor Noah. I'm just saying you obviously enjoy making people laugh, so maybe you should try stand up as a hobby." He's like, you know how people bungee jump and go-karting?
Yeah.
You should try it literally as a hobby, because I think you'll enjoy it. I then had a conversation with Nicholas Goliath, weirdly not over some Castle Lagers, but over some black labels. And Nicholas Goliath, I tell him the story and he goes, "I'm going to make the booking." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, there's a place that does open spots. I'm going to book. I also want to do it." And then Nicholas Goliath and I start, 3rd of July, 2011. I did my first ever stand-up set. And I still, till today, blame Castle Lager for my success. Castle Lager brought Siv and I together. Castle Lager saved me financially from one of the most difficult spots in my life because I got that campaign. And then I became the Ngaba guy. You don't understand how popular the Ngaba guy.
Crazy.
I became the Ngaba guy for years. Like till today, my staunch fans will still not shout Jason, "Hey, Ngaba!" I'm like, yes, one more round.
Amazing. That is absolutely, I mean, you're welcome home.
Thank you. That's honestly how it feels. Not everybody gets you started, let me tell you. But I can promise you, you remember the ones that were there in the beginning. You remember the ones. You never forget, and I will never forget. So I'm so excited. Thank you.
Well, this is absolutely because I didn't know that story, the Castle Lager story.
Come on.
Had no idea, and I think that's something that I love about our business as
Yes.
SAB is that we connect people sometimes. So like you're talking about Castle Lager being we as Castle Lager being your start into comedy.
Absolutely.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here.
Facts.
Jason
Big
Goliath
facts.
got his start through Castle Lager.
100%.
So when we call, you guys must pick up our phone calls.
And it also speaks to the fact that even on set, the brand is cool. Because we were having so much fun that's what inspired stand-up comedy. Because eventually the cameras are rolling and you forget that it's business. You're just here to have a good time.
Well, Castle Lager is like, as you know, it's our heritage brand.
Iconic.
So it is the brand that started South African breweries. So, and we're turning 130 next year.
I think
Wow.
that's fascinating. Anything that turns 130 and still has the same type of energy that it did, even when, I remember the early ads kind of into the 80s, 90s, it's always been a vibe. And I think still is. So well done. If it's 130 years, it's because it's delicious. We didn't make the rules.
So it's interesting that your start into SAB
Yes.
is Castle Lager.
Yes.
So for me, I'm from Zimbabwe.
Uh-huh.
And growing up, my parents were beer drinkers. My mom was a Carling Black Label drinker, her and my aunt. And it was so normal and natural, right? And then coming to South Africa, there seemed to be like a stigma
Yes.
around women drinking beer, which I didn't necessarily understand,
Yes.
right? And then, so then I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I was a late bloomer into alcohol, got in much later. If I tell you,
Tell me, because I was also a late bloomer. I'm hoping that you were earlier than me.
I was probably 23, 24.
I was 22.
I hadn't found, I think my palate developed a lot later. My dad always used to say, beer is amazing
Yes.
and you develop a
Yes.
taste for it.
Yes.
And I tried it and it wasn't really to my liking. And then I realized that it's just your palate. And then, we've got a portfolio of products.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I don't know if you remember Sarita.
I do.
Right?
I do.
So that was tasting, I was like, oh, I've got a sweet palate.
Hey.
And then a lot of women have a sweeter palate.
And-
And so Carling made sense. It actually makes
Because
sense
it's the sweeter
it's a
of-
little bit sweeter. It's like a
Yeah.
little bit sweeter. So mom's a Carling drinker, aunt's a Carling drinker, uncle's a Castle Lager drinker. And then I end up working on my first brand I ever worked on was Carling Black Label.
Which, I feel like that's a compliment to you. I think what an iconic brand for us as South Africans. But I don't want to skip over the part where, because you make such a good point that it was normal to grow up. Because I don't have stories where my mates are saying that, oh no, I like Black Label because my mom used to drink Black Label. So what you said about it being, there's some sort of South African stigma, and it's something that frustrates me deeply. So I go, why should anything have a kind of, within your sex, you are only allowed to do this and that. For me, if something's delicious, it's delicious. Then, because you have people that go, hey, women shouldn't drink beer. Then judge a woman that's drinking a beer out of a bottle. Then I'm like, but drinking a beer from the bottle, it's firstly a personal preference, and for me personally, it's my favorite way to enjoy a beer. Then when people say, why? I go, because we're losing zero of the temperature. We are keeping it as cold as possible. It goes down as delicious as possible. And I like a fresh beer, and it just tastes fresher from the bottle.
Are people judging women for drinking beer out of a bottle?
Don't pull your face like I brought this subject up. First and foremost.
No, I mean a bottle though.
I'm telling you.
Because when you pour it in a glass, it's glass to glass. I don't understand.
So I think, and this is something that we never speak about enough, so I'm actually glad you brought this up. A lot of our South African habits are nonsense, but they come from our kind of political past where you had members of the population that were not allowed to do anything nice. So for example, I grew up in El Dorado Park, right? In El Dorado Park, every house can cook. Every house can cook. Not because we cook better than anybody else, but because we were so broke, there was no money for restaurants. Food was the only pastime, so we had to make nice food. Then you had classism within communities because of the political structure, and so people would attack anything that kind of, so you know how there's kind of classes within alcohol where you've got Prosecco, beer. You know what I mean? Then I always think beer is more delicious than Prosecco, personally, for my personal tastes. It tastes more celebratory. It tastes more appropriate. But I think South Africa's always suffered from those type of classism issues in the shadow of our political past. So I think that was the problem.
That's very interesting.
More than I'm an intellectual, guys.
But you know, in beer, there's also, I guess it hasn't necessarily gone away, because beer, you have premium
the
beer.
The green versus the brown bottle debacle.
And to be fair, there's a lot of amazing beers.
Yes.
And Carling Black Label.
Yes.
I mean, everyone knows this. It's the most awarded beer in Africa.
And you only need to taste it once to know that it's the truth.
And it is an amazing brand.
Thank you.
And actually, you know what, let me not act like there were times when we were on the Carling brand, we'd go out as the girls in the team. Yeah. And we would order, give me a Carling draft. And why not? And we're in a nice little restaurant, and it's like, are they drinking Carling?
So
what? Like, yes, the most awarded beer. Yes, I'm gonna drink. I want the best. I want to drink that. But I think it's all about preference and taste, to be honest.
Yes.
So you'll find that someone else will like a flying fish, right? Which is actually a beer, not a cider.
It is a beer, and as far as flavored beers goes, it's a delicious one. But you also find some old school guys that don't want to break that mold and feel like you shouldn't flavor a beer, because now you're starting to play in the cider kind of territory and space. I still go exactly what you just said, but it comes down to personal taste preference.
So outside of, so you've said Carling Castle Lager is you have an emotional connection to
So I've got an emotional connection.
But what's your favorite beer? Like the one that... Carling.
So the beer that I order at the bar, I've just had a good set, I come off, and I need that moment, that taste, that flavor. I promise you think I'm joking. Carling, my darling. You ask any of my friends.
We're going to be watching you now. We're going to be watching you at the bar.
Just in the comments. Just tell these people for how long I've been saying, Carling, my darling. I'll tell you what it is for me about Carling. Carling is like, and in fact, maybe beer can be categorized like this. But what I love about it, my perspective is, I'm a car guy. So as a car guy, it's not my favorite car, but I have to respect a GTI. And I'll explain.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have to explain that one.
I wouldn't buy one, but I respect the GTI because a GTI is classless. And when I say that, it's all things to all men. So a GTI looks at home in the kasi.
Okay.
Right? In the kasi, at the car wash, on a Sunday afternoon, GTI looks at home. GTI also looks at home standing outside the hotel at the Houghton. It's one of those things that just seems to be appropriate in all environments. So for me, there are very few things that fall into that category. In the beverage category, I think beer, you can order a beer at the most down-to-earth place where we're going to sit on a crate afterwards and enjoy it, but it's also not out of place to order a beer after a 3-course meal. You know those meals that you like with entree and...
What do you mean that I like?
No, I can see those people that eat carpaccio. You know those people that eat see-through meat.
I don't know what that is.
You order things I can't pronounce. You want sushi, then you want...
sushi,
you know, they just decorate the plate a little bit. Those are dirty, the plate. Those restaurants frustrate me. But you could order a beer there and it also doesn't look out of place.
Because beer actually goes with food.
But that's my favorite part. So what I'm saying is it's classless. It doesn't matter where you enjoy it. It's the right option to have. And that's what I like about it. Because I don't like too many fancy things, and I also like what I know.
So on this podcast, right? Because I think there's probably a lot of people who are similar to you, or on the opposite, where they love beer and maybe love a certain type of beer, but due to, like, let's call it societal pressure,
100%.
they then don't feel comfortable holding it somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're going to use this podcast to also educate people on, we're going to talk about beer styles. We're going to talk about Carling Black Label, it being a little bit sweeter. We're not saying sweet like juice. It's not sweet like that. But there's a way that it's brewed. We're going to talk
100%.
about Castle Lager a little bit. We're going to talk about the premium Corona and Stella Artois.
Hey,
some of those brands. Like you have Artois. You can't just be Artois. You know, Artois. And we'll talk about that. And I think it's important. And I think that's what I love about why I've been at SAB for so long.
Yes.
Like I've been here a while. I'm turning 14 this year. Yep, 14.
Someone behind the camera, round of applause. 14 years. 14 years. Still looking fresh.
I'm turning 14, and beer doesn't get old for me. It's still and it's more than beer now, but it's
Yes.
so exciting. There's always something new to learn. And I started at SAB 2010. So while you were in Ngaba, I was later on I started at SAB in sales, and it doesn't get old. And there's so much to learn. There's so much to conversate. And I think the more I go on this journey, I'm realizing that there's a lot of misconceptions that we have about beer, and be it from a liquid, be it the industry, be it the elephant in the room around responsible drinking,
100%,
responsible consumption. So I think this is why this podcast, I think, is important for us to hopefully change perceptions a little bit, and hopefully you can bring and tell me what's on the street, because you're on the street.
So I think you've nailed it. It's a podcast. It's going to be all about beer. If you want to know my objective is by the end of this series is I would like to be an absolute aficionado.
Ooh.
I would like to understand.
Yes.
I want to be the guy that's complaining, I don't know if you drink a black label with that steak. Maybe you want to try a castle if you're going to have it. You know what I mean? I want to be on that level.
We're going to get
like,
you
is there a word for like that level of professional? Like
there is, and I can't for the life of me remember
we're going to figure out that word.
We're going to figure. There is a word for people that are beer connoisseurs, and I can promise you, beer is, you can get snob, like there's...
No, I know. Oh, no, I'm going to be a complete beer
Even
snob.
the glass you use, there's etiquette there. Beer etiquette.
The way you...
Stick with me.
I remember my uncles fighting with me with the way you pour.
Yes.
So it's from the small things. And I think we're going to be able to kind of drill down into the nitty-gritties of the culture. We're going to understand why beer has been so popular. I mean, Castle, 130 years and still ever popular, still ever growing. But I think it's also an opportunity to not only indulge the existing beer community that's out there and people that appreciate, love, and have a history with beer, but also open it up and break down some of those barriers to entry and some of those misconceived ideas and misperceptions around what beer is, what beer should I have, when is the right time to have a beer, and what is the right beer for me. And I'm also going to give you the tricks, if you're scared, where to start. Black Label is a good place to start. But I like what you're saying here. We are all about beer. So it's not just going to be the two of us. We're going to be interviewing all sorts of people that I think are not only interested in beer, but contribute in some way, shape, or form to beer. And it's going to be an education for all of us. And that means the two of us and all of you, we are all about beer. And I love the name. More Cheers. Life is heavy at the moment. I don't think we have enough moments to cheers. I don't think we're taking pauses to celebrate. And I think at the moment we've got more to celebrate than anything. It's difficult. The world is in turmoil. But sometimes just the fact that we wake up and you have life to live. You have life in you. I heard somebody the other day that goes, my gratitude starts from my first breath. And I think that's what we're going to be doing here.
Nice. I like that.
It's all about celebrating. It's all about good vibes. And something I'm very passionate about, and I'm glad you brought it up so I don't feel like that person, but being responsible. I feel like it's 2024. If you are in a group of friends where you've got to feel shy about being responsible, you really have to think about your life. It's 2024. I often think back with my mates to when I started driving in the late 90s, and how much safer it is out there, how many more precautions people take. And in fact, back then, nobody was judging you in your social circle when you told a story about leaving the club at an irresponsible time in an irresponsible way, whereas today, you get judged. So I definitely want to celebrate the Designated Dave. I think Designated Daves need to be celebrated in a big way. And I also think maybe we must, in fact, do me a favor, in the comments below, give us innovative ways to incentivize Designated Daves. I'll start you off. My suggestion is Designated Dave doesn't pay the next time we go out. As a group, when the designation has moved, the previous designator has a bill-free evening. They can so find ways to promote and make Designated Dave the hero that Designated Dave deserves to be.
I'll be ordering lobster.
That's why you don't have friends. This is exactly
like,
the problem.
As the designated driver, I'm going to have lobster, please. And what would go with lobster? Please bring a Casa Light with that lobster.
Thank you.
Oh no, I'm designated, so it's a Corona Zero. There we go.
Done.
Wrong.
Done.
Yeah.
No, but you made a plan.
So I want the audience to get to know you. Well, we know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right? So, hot seat.
Who's in the hot seat first? You want to go first?
Yeah, okay, I'll go first.
You want me to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so, you said cars.
Yes.
Right. Favorite car?
That's the same as asking me my favorite.
No, just go. Like, what's
comedian.
your... mine's already at the top of my head.
Okay, my favorite car, 1979 BMW 635 CSI.
Yo, okay, that was very specific.
Yeah, you asked a specific
I'm even scared
question.
to say mine. Okay. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Okay. You've said there's something... So you said you did... Was it dancing? I was going to say
Strictly Come Dancing.
Dancing with the Stars.
That's the international name.
That's the international
They have the same
But
show,
you said
two
Masked
formats.
Singer.
I did the Masked Singer.
And how well did you do?
I actually made top 6 from 16.
So we're going to make you sing at some
6.
point.
The problem now is making me not sing.
Oh,
It's making me not sing because I did the Masked Singer, but also, as you said, did Strictly Come Dancing. After Strictly Come Dancing, I haven't danced since. I remember that movie Hitch?
Yeah,
where Will Smith
yeah.
goes, "This is where you live. This is
box,
you.
in the box,
This is me.
in the box."
When you see me out and about, respecting myself, respecting my body, respecting those around me. That's where I live. But singing, I don't know what it is. That Masked Singer did something to me. And it's so weird. I was chatting to some of the guys that were on the last season, and also it just inspires you to sing. And then you realize that you don't need anybody else to enjoy your singing, as long as you yourself enjoy it.
That's interesting.
It's a wonderful exercise in self-confidence, I promise you.
Okay.
I promise
I
you.
like
So
that
love
it's
that.
masked. So then I might, yeah.
The problem is I've got a very distinct style. So people knew it was me like immediately. It was terrible, but it was fun. It was fun, and I would definitely do it again, and I would advise anybody who has an opportunity to be on The Masked Singer. One of the most, I think, intimidating performances. Strictly Come Dancing was crazy because it's live. When they count down, you got to dance on national television for
The
90
jive
seconds.
and the
100%. No, it's physically and mentally, it was the most challenging show I've ever done. Masked Singer was different because at least with Strictly, they could see me and I could use my voice and my body to encourage the audience's engagement. But with the Masked Singer, I'm behind it's like I'm watching the audience through a scope. And they can't hear me. I can't use my voice to encourage them. And it felt a bit like a hostage situation. Like, I'm not going to lie. But incredibly enjoyable nonetheless.
The Olympics are coming up.
Yes.
What's your favorite discipline?
I think because I'm a South African kid, if your favorite discipline is not the 100 meters, like what else is the Olympics for than to eventually get down to the 100 meters?
I love track. I cannot wait for track and field.
Track and field is my favorite, but be honest, the 100, 200, I think those are just my favorite events because of the intensity. And you know what it was? Growing up, I remember my mother would make me watch the Olympics, but not to see the finish line.
To do what?
So you know in the 100 meters, you see the athletes lining
Yeah.
up. Then they go through the little profiles and introductions one by one. Then she would make me watch their body language and go, you can see in their eyes who came to win and who doesn't believe they're going to win. She was like, my boy promised me you're never going to start a race that you don't at least believe you're going to win.
That's, wow.
And it was such a thing. So now I use that in life. I check out, before the starting pistol fires, I check people's body language because a lot of people show up to not win. And it's something I can't understand. For me, I'm like, rather stay at home. You don't have to win,
but you must
you at least have to believe. If you don't believe, you've already lost. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I ended up at provincial. I was a...
Okay, wait. No. Let's then go back to the start. We're going to come back to this because you've been grilling me, and maybe we need to
Switch
grill
gears.
you.
Okay, I'm ready.
So let's go Zim.
Okay.
Where in Zim?
Harare.
So Zim, Harare. When did you leave Harare to come to South Africa?
I came to study, so I came for varsity.
And where was that?
UCT. So I left in 2000. I think I started 2003. I'm showing my age now. 2003.
No, it's fine.
But I'm
it's
comfortable
fine.
with it.
The good because it's not showing. That's why you're comfortable with it. Because it doesn't show at all. And what did you study?
I'm a bachelor's in biochemistry and physiology major.
And that's why you are the brand person at SAB because
nothing to do with marketing. But I did a postgrad in marketing. There was just something in me that I love sports. I actually did physiology. I wanted to do sports physiology because I absolutely am a sports fanatic. But I always knew that I wanted to be in a boardroom. Very weird. And I always thought I was going to be like the sports physiologist for like the Springboks or Formula One team or something like that. And then I applied for postgrad, and then I applied for postgrad marketing. Yeah. I found it intriguing. I met somebody who did it, and I thought, everyone needs marketing.
Yeah.
So, and then I've ended up, and I have never gone back to the sciences, but I use the sciences. I use the thinking every day.
So, how do you fit into the SAB executive structure?
Oh.
That is a very, very, very loaded question.
That is a very posh
Very loaded question.
question.
Very posh, very loaded.
Well, I can say I started from the bottom.
Dab it out. You got to dab it out. Come on.
So I started my career at SAB in 2010, November.
Yep.
So after your ad, you're already famous.
So we basically started at basically the same time. I like it.
I started off as a sales trainee.
Okay.
In Cape Town.
Yeah.
That's where I'm Cape region, so we've got all the country split in regions. And then I was in sales, then became an account manager, which is still sales. Then I always knew I wanted to be in brand. Then I transitioned into brand, and the first brand I ever worked on was Carling Black Label.
Come on.
And it has definitely shaped who I am as a marketer. That brand is, you've talked about the taste but it is the most iconic brand in the world.
Strong.
In the world. And you always say in marketing that you are custodians because people come and go, but the most fun and most challenging work I've done on Carling, but really, really set me up for success. And I've worked on like Castle Light, I've worked on Brutal Fruit, I've actually worked on all the brands in our portfolio. So also worked on Corona, Stella. The only ones I haven't worked on is Flying Fish, and perhaps Castle Lager. I haven't worked on Castle Lager before, but I've covered most of the portfolio. And then
is it a
now I'm in
dream?
corporate affairs looking after the brand, South African brands.
But is that a marketer's dream? Because you mentioned, my first brand was Carling. What a wonderful brand to cut your teeth on and to learn. But all of the other brands you mentioned are all iconic within their own right. And is that a marketer's dream to have a portfolio of brands that actually speak to and resonate with the country that they're marketing to?
I think for me, I think it's a privilege. So it is a privilege, and I didn't know that it was that until you start talking to other people and you realize that, wow. And I think it actually occurred to me, I can't remember how long it was, where I was like, oh my God, I've worked on almost every brand in our portfolio. Like, what a privilege, because you're right. It's different consumers, different passion points, challenges your thinking. And South Africa, as you know, it's a very, very, very dynamic and complex, and so are these brands that appeal to people. And so it's really, I always say it's a privilege. And I'm honored, to be honest, and I've learned so much. And now I'm looking after, like I said, it's the brand. It is SAB itself, and that is the dream. Like, I never thought I would do that. So, yeah.
So I remember in the early days, and I'm going to speak out of the bedroom now. You'll probably cut this out. But the boss, like I remember when he used to come on set from Castle Lager,
and
Ali.
Hewitt.
Hey,
Mr. Castle.
Mr.
Ali
Castle.
Hewitt.
So like
Yes.
I remember Ali with such fondness, not only because of the way he encouraged me, and the Bali was always kind to me, but I remember him coming on set with such an energy, everybody just excited. But more importantly, I remember meeting Ali in social environments. Ali was the type of guy, and you got to back me up here. This is where I say I was speaking out of the. Ali is the type of guy that if Ali saw me in a social environment drinking a Black Label, he would not even say anything. He would just come and replace it with a Castle.
True.
He would just come, take the Black Label out of my hand, and put a Castle Lager in my hand. And what I learned from him is I was like, Lord, can you please bless me with a brand that I love so much that even when I'm not on duty, I'm technically on duty. Because Ali for me was like the perfect custodian.
He embodied, we used to call him Mr. Castle. Really, I think embodied Castle. When I joined SAB, he was already on Castle Lager.
Yes.
And really embodied the brand. We called him Mr. Castle, an amazing marketer, amazing and stuff. So who knows? Maybe we could get him on the show.
Listen, I really would love a catch up, and would even love just to say thank you to him, because I've never had the opportunity to go thank you, because a lot of people think they've changed your life and been involved and been instrumental. Ellie's one of those people that was truly instrumental, because as I said, Castle Lager changed my life. The interview is about you. So if Ellie walked in, what beer would he be taking out of your hand right now? So if you're in a social setting, let's talk about a month-end Friday, you've just met up with some people after work.
Sure.
You've ordered your beer. What are you ordering?
That is such a tough one. I know that, like I said, I've worked on all of them.
No, so which one are you ordering now? Look them in the eye and tell them.
If I
Honest.
have to pick a beer
Yes.
today, because I'm feeling very nostalgic,
Yes.
it will be Carling.
So nostalgic, why?
So my mom was a Carling drinker.
Of course.
Carling Black Label drinker. Growing up, her and her sister, my aunt, they were Carling Black Label drinkers. So growing up, it just was part of, our family. My dad drank, it's a Zimbabwean beer called Zambezi.
Uh-huh.
My uncle.
It's a delicious somebody,
My
that as
uncle,
well.
very delicious. My uncle was a cast to this day. He lives in Scotland, and like whenever he can find a castle lager, he's a castle lager drinker, and so grew up around like SAB brands. So yeah, but Carling, because I didn't realize that until I started working on it. I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I cannot believe I'm working on the brand that I watched you drink growing up. How incredible is that? And then I was educating her on the brand, telling her this is actually why you like it, Mom. Because she always likes sweeter products.
Yes.
I'm like, this is why
You didn't
you
even
like
realize,
it.
Mom.
Let me tell you about your beer.
Let me let you know, Mom. Let me
educate you.
What does
Mom.
Mom drink now?
So my mom, like, she still drinks beer. Actually, I'm trying to think what she drinks. No, she's still drinks beer, but she's more into the cider space now.
Okay.
So like she'll enjoy, like I've put her on Brutal Fruit.
Yeah.
Because the whole family must drink the portfolio, Brutal Fruit, and she also likes Reds. Yeah.
Reds is old school. Reds has stood the test of time. It's up there. It's up there. Okay. Respect to moms. Respect to moms. So what I'm loving is this is giving you an example of exactly what the podcast is going to be about. Essentially, we want to hear your beer stories. We want to understand what role beer's played, what your favorite way, what your favorite place, what your favorite occasion is to consume. Then we want to know, how are you having yours? Do you do the forbidden stuff that we're not allowed to talk about? Are you shandying your beer? Are you mixing it with something else?
You're allowed to do that?
No, I'm just saying. Some circles you're not allowed. Those are forbidden truths. In some homes you'll get punished for mixing dad's things. You know what I mean? So I wanna understand what you didn't do because your dad said you weren't going to enjoy it, and now you love it, for example, and now it's become part of your routine. But I also want to get behind things like, I love that you were at one point able to say, Mom, I realize why you like Black Label. It's because it's the sweeter of the options that you had available, and I know you like sweet things. So also hoping to uncover, reintroduce, and introduce people to something a little bit new, but also perspectives. I want to learn all the stories. I want to speak to all the people. I want to have all of the understandings that a human being can have around beer. I want to be the beer aficionado, but I also want to be the champion of responsible drinking.
Can we talk about that?
For goodness sake.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize, and like, let me put on like my SAB hat on.
Yes, please. Yeah, sit upright.
Let me put
Tell
on
them.
the corporate. Yeah. So people think we have to just say drink responsibly. It's a tagline, like we have to say it. It is at the core of our business. Our business does not survive if we're not responsible. Like, it literally is at the center. So if we want a sustainable business, if we want to continue to have these beautiful brands, we need South Africa to be responsible. Our products were always meant for enjoyment and to be enjoyed in a responsible way. So it really is super important. It's not just a campaign or let's tick the box.
I love that.
It's important for our business growth and future.
So as an outsider, I'll be honest, it's an easy assumption that of course you have to tell us to drink responsibly because of the rules or somebody's forcing you, because of the law. But as a business sustainability practice, if your audience, your target market, your customers are not responsible, eventually there will be no customers.
Yeah.
So being responsible is also just sustainable, good business. I must applaud you guys for the work that you've done so far, though. So I think that even as I say it's 2024, we must have this responsibility conversation. I also have been, I've been legally drinking for over 20 years. And I can see times changing. I can see South Africans changing. There was a time, late 90s, early 2000s, it was normalized to drink and drive. Our parents, our dads used to drink and drive. Nobody used to question. I had my nephew the other day say to his dad, Dad, you've had 2 beers. I hope you're not driving, because that's the education. Yeah. And that's where we've got to now, and I want to see more of that. Judge the drunk driver. Take the keys away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I really think that we are also amiss if we don't admit that a lot of work has been done, but we've got more work to do still.
We're spot on and aligned, as we would say.
Come on.
I'm super excited on going on this journey with you. I can't wait. You're making me laugh already. So, had to bring in, the funny guy, but really it's going to be an amazing, amazing season. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to really educating South Africa and changing perceptions around beer.
I am so looking forward to growing my beer family, and thank you for inviting me into your beer family. And I look forward to exactly that. Educating, breaking perceptions, having some fun, meeting cool people, listening to and sharing cool stories and moments, and literally just making it all about beer. It's just a type of topic that if you're having a Monday and you list for Friday, watch this podcast, because this podcast is going to feel like Friday every single time. It's going to smell of the weekend.
The weekend. Well, since you said Castle Lager, I had to hook it up quickly. We will definitely make sure that we get you a nice goodie bag. This is it's a Castle Lager little t-shirt, some merch. Now that you're a part of the family, you got to get some merch, right? This is just a small piece. It's a really cool t-shirt. It was at our 125-year birthday when this t-shirt was made. And if you use your you can actually see all of the people that work at SAB are written into the subscription. So shout out to the Castle Lager team of that year that thought of this idea. So hopefully next time, and it matches the couch.
It does.
The colors, SAB colors.
I think it's also going to work nice with my shoes and jacket
we'll see you in the merch, but we'll bring you more merch now.
Is actually...
How cool?
That's actually beautiful.
So at 125 years, that was really cool.
This is rapid fire questions on the More Cheers podcast. Marsha, ready?
Ready.
All right, 5 questions. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Last song you listened to?
Beyonce.
You're lying, but I'll take it. Last beer you bought?
Corona Zero.
Nickname your parents used to call you. Be honest.
Marsh.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
I'm a vault.
You do look a bit vaulty.
Vault.
That's it.
Oh,
that's it.
Your
that's
turn.
it. My turn.
Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Last beer you drank?
Calling my darling Black Label.
Speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Definitely talk to animals.
If you could drink a beer with any historical figure, who would it be?
Martin Luther King.
Beer in a bottle or beer on tap?
Bottle and tap. Mostly a bottle.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our rapid fire questions, and we will be doing this with all our guests. So see you soon.
Yes. So guests, good luck.
Cheers.